Hey guys, I know a lot of you watch my channel because you've got the itch and you're looking to make your next knife purchase, which I totally get because I'm also a knife guy. So I invite you to open the description of the video you're watching right now and click here on my Amazon store where I've compiled some of my very favorites. As you can see, my most recommended knives and my favorite budget knives are right at the top, but there's also categories like knife maintenance, pocket clips, knife storage and display, and then a whole bunch of knives by popular brands. There's something down here for everybody, so make sure you take a look. Thanks. What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife or knives review to share with you guys. These are the Bestech Ghost, both in titanium and a frame lock, and then we actually have carbon fiber with a liner lock, a countersunk liner lock. This guy is substantially lighter. They're both lightweight, but this guy's substantially lighter. I decided to do these together because doing two different reviews would be weird. I mean, the only difference is that one's carbon fiber and it's got a liner lock. Everything else is the same. These knives were sent by the Apex Pattern Group, which means by extension Bestech themselves. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. These will go on to the next review or when I'm done. Let's go ahead and get a measurement here. Overall length of the Ghost coming in at 7.75 inches overall. I would have guessed 8. They look like full size. I mean, this is still a full size knife. It looks like an 8-inch knife. Not that a 1/4 inch makes a difference. Blade length is coming in at 3 1/4. Cutting edge is coming in at 3 inches on the dot. Let me make sure. Sometimes my mind, 3 inches on the dot. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. Rat 1 is coming in at 8.6 inches overall, so you can see there a little bit shorter. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 coming in at 6. What is wrong with me today? 8.3 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall. And last but not least, the Spyderco Para 3. Spyderco Para 3 coming in at 7 1/4 inches overall. So it's right there between the Para 3 and the Benchmade Griptilian. Still definitely a knife you can get a full purchase on. How's the action? Both of them are very, very smooth. I would say this titanium one is a little bit smoother. It is almost perfectly drop shut. The carbon fiber one is very, very smooth. Honestly, it doesn't feel like it's less smooth. It just feels like it's tighter. So maybe I just need to adjust the pivot a little bit. In any case, they are both very smooth, exactly what you'd expect for the price range in these guys. Both of these knives will be offered right down at the top of the description, so you can pick this up. They do come in a wide variety, different titanium, anno, different, like there's blackwash, there's tumbled, there's two-tone, there's a whole bunch of different stuff. So I will make sure that I include them both in the description and individual links, and also in the Bestech section of my Amazon store that I referenced at the beginning. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check on these guys. Get out my handy dandy WIA bit selector and WIA magnetic driver, two items that are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can also find these in my Amazon store. Just scroll down to where it says knife maintenance, pull that open, and you should be able to find them pretty easily. I'm going to guess, like most Bestech knives, the hardware on the frame is T6. That is the case. And the hardware on the pivot is T8. And yes, the screws are exactly the same between the two of them. It's just the hardware, or I'm sorry, the frames are different. So let's check the pivot. T8, there you go. T8 and T6. You guys know how I feel about T6. I'd rather everything was T8, but you can't always get what you want. Just be cognizant if you are going to take this apart and you're going to use a T6 head, because they could definitely strip. How's the carry profile on these guys? Well, number one, even the titanium one is lightweight. I mean, so we have two lightweight knives. We also don't have two overly thick knives or anything like that. It's about the same thickness as the Para 3. A little bit of contouring going on, so a little bit of excess thickness. But in terms of, height and total mass, like total space taken up in the pocket, they're definitely beating the Spyderco PM2. And they're not really a whole lot longer than the Para 3, honestly. I mean, this is a knife that's really going to carry pretty easily. Let's go ahead and weigh them both. Get out my scale here, and I'll also do blade thickness. By the way, I have used these enough now to decide that I really like them, and I'm going to go ahead and include a link for these guys too. So these guys will now show up down in my knife maintenance section of my Amazon store as well, for those of you wanting some reasonably priced calipers. 130 thousandths there. Let's do this one again. Let's do this one just to double check, make sure that we're accurate. Yeah, 130 thousandths. So not a overly thick blade, not an overly thin blade, but the total, total amount of material on these guys is just not a lot. Let's weigh the titanium one first. And how about we zero out the scale first? Titanium one coming in at 3.77 ounces, not bad. Not anything crazy, certainly carryable. How about the carbon fiber one? Woo! Under 3 ounces, 2.89 ounces. That is a nice weight considering how much usable blade you get, and the overall size of the knife. This thing absolutely feels featherweight, and coincidentally, they both kind of look like feathers, right? For those of you who want a little bit more solidity in your knife, this guy's not going to kill your pocket. It certainly is still lightweight. This guy is ultra featherweight for those of you who really like those featherweight knives. And yeah, I know the bug out weighs less, It's always somebody like, the bug out's super lightweight. I know. I don't like FRN. If I was going to go with a lightweight material, I'd much rather have carbon fiber. Or G10 by itself but I understand FRN's plenty strong. I just don't like how it feels. What did we miss? Did we miss anything here? I don't think so. Let's go ahead and talk about anatomy. So, we have on this one bead blasted titanium that's been nicely contoured and machined. And then the blade steel on these guys, I believe, is S35VN. Of course, I will add in a text edit somewhere around here if I'm wrong about that. Whether they're S35VN or M390, considering the price, both are great. It's like with S35V, they're both powder form steels. Everybody knows this now. M390's kind of been top dog for a while because it's got better edge retention and better corrosion resistance. But what people forget is it doesn't have as good an edge stability or toughness as S35VN, and it's also a lot harder to sharpen. So it depends on where you put your priorities. I tend to just accept either steel in any knife. They're two of my favorite steels of all time, and I'm happy with either of them. So anyways, I'll make sure that you guys know exactly which steel it is. The problem is that I forgot, and it doesn't say it on the blade, which is a nice segue into the next part of this review. This knife has nothing on the blade or frame that might indicate that it is from Bestech, and I love that. I don't have to look at the company's billboarding. Who are they advertising to once I have it? Nobody. Because I already know. I bought it. I know who makes it. I understand sometimes it's nice to it, other people looking at it. If I'm going to show this knife to somebody, I'm going to say, considering what I paid for it, I'm going to say, this is a Bestech Ghost. I'm going to tell them that, they're not going to need the billboard on there. So best case scenario, this knife is sitting around on an open, easily visible surface, and somebody walks by and goes, huh, I wonder what brand that is. Huh, oh, okay, I'm going to go buy it. That's a weird situation. I'm not going to leave my knife out, So anyways, set the rant aside. I appreciate that because it just looks so clean. I love sterile blades. More of this, Bestech. This is wonderful. I really, really like that. Thank you for doing that. Show side pivot looks nice. This area right here, this little slot cut out, I thought maybe I might be able to engage that with my finger, but no, you really can't. Some people might be able to, but I can't. This is probably the version of this knife that I would go with. We've got tumbling on the blade. We've got satin on the flats. Nice rounding up here. Nothing overly sharp. Nothing sharp at all up here. This is all nicely rounded off, and then we have a nice, sharp, thin edge down here coming to a nice tip. This is more so what I guess I would call a spear point with a slight raise or ramp. You could call it harpoon. You could call it clip point. You probably could call it what are they? Is it a Persian blade shape or a trailing point, something like that? In any case, it does have a flat that comes out about 50% the length of the blade, carrying a reasonable amount of thickness out to about right here, and then it slowly starts to taper towards the edge in a way that does emphasize a little bit of excess strength, but you don't have a lot of material down here, and that is definitely a tip that can break off if you're going to be, doing some dig cutting, I guess. Or, if you stick the tip under a zip tie and you pry up. A lot of people do that, and that can break your tip if you're not careful. But I really appreciate how the blade looks, and what I appreciate the most are the ergonomic lines on this knife. Being able to rest my thumb here on this ramp and then choke up right here is something that I very, very much appreciate, right? Whether I'm going to hold it like this. This knife is very, very comfortable. You can't get way up here because then you're kind of resting the meat of your finger up against that blade. But right here, this is solid and very comfortable. I will gladly sacrifice a little bit of unnecessary, well, a lot of people are like, I want that extra cutting edge. I want that extra 1/4 of an inch of cutting edge. Listen, I'm happy to get rid of it for a choil and an extra position for my hands. And it's out of the way enough of the flipper tab that I really think you gain something in utility. Now, some people don't like how it looks. I think on this knife, it kind of complements the lines really, really well. I'm going to pick this knife up and talk for a little bit because it's just been laying here left out. On this particular one, we've got the black wash finish, which is essentially the same as the tumbling, except it's not two-tone, it's black wash all the way through. This also looks nice. If I was going to go with the carbon fiber one, I probably would go with a tumbled blade, which they do have. This carbon fiber is very beautiful. This is sort of shred carbon fiber. I always get marbled and shred mixed up. This might actually be more marble, but in any case, it is actually the nature, from what I understand, and I've heard this more often than not, the nature of marble carbon fiber to have voids every now and then. And if you look closely, there are a couple of little tiny places. Yeah, there's one right there. Little tiny places where that is the case. I wouldn't fret too much. Yeah, it is an eyesore once you find it, but it simply is the product of this process, you know, and I understand there probably are more premium blocks of this stuff, and then they cut in areas or they machine out of areas that don't have a lot of voids or have no voids. I think that this is acceptable for this price range. I mean, a void in marble carbon fiber is not going to stop me from buying a knife like this. I just kind of accept, you know, hey, that's just part of the process. Now, if I was paying $500, $600, $700, you know, or beyond, then I might be like, hey, maybe we should have cut from a more premium block. But I don't understand the process and how it works. Maybe it's next to impossible to get a block of this stuff without any voids in it. What I'm saying is that I've heard it enough and seen it enough to think, this might just be the part of it. You know, if you want a knife that doesn't have any voids or anything in the carbon fiber and you like this one, go with the titanium one, right? Regular carbon fiber generally does not have any voids in it. It's just the process of creating this marbleized carbon fiber, as I understand it, that makes it more likely to have voids. The detent is great. Flipping action is great. Access to the liner lock on this one is good. However, considering, you know, we've got this, you see there's the scale, then there's the liner, and then this is a little bit lower. I find that I oftentimes, right there, it doesn't hurt, but I know this looks painful, but I promise you guys that my fingers at the tips are just dead skin. It does pinch it a little bit. And it's every now and then it's like 1 in 5. You angle your thumb just right and it won't be the case, but you will get your finger in there every now and then. It's not the case with the frame lock because there's nothing for it to pinch you up against. In any case, neither of them have double clutches. They're very easy to engage and disengage. Just keep in mind on this liner lock version, you're going to get the meat of your thumb kind of stuck between the scale and the liner lock. It's not going to hurt you. It's just, you're going to go, I got part of my skin stuck in there. But it's not strong enough to tear your skin or anything like that. All the edges here, everything have been nicely rounded off. No sharpness, no awkwardness, anything like that. Wish those were T8, but they're not. That's okay. Got a nice lanyard hole back there that's out of the way of everything. Love the backspacer. Absolutely. I love the contrast between marble carbon fiber on this knife and the titanium tumbled backspacer that's just gear pattern back here. That's wonderful. On the inside of this one, the liners are countersunk on the liner lock side, if we can see in there. Yep. And then on this side, it's actually all carbon fiber except for up here where the bearings ride. You can see actually there's a plate. So the bearings are not riding on a flat carbon fiber surface. They are running on a steel surface, which is nice. That's good. That's how that should be done. Moving over to the other side on this knife, we have the pocket clip, which does go with the design of the knife, but it's a little bit pokey and it's got this tooth. I mean, it looks like it would pass over your jean pockets, you know, okay. It's a little pinchy. You know, it's not that bad. The area in the jeans that I'm wearing right now, it's so frayed and knocked down that almost anything will pass over it. But I'm telling you, on you know, if you've got pants that are really thick, getting that little tooth to pass over can be a problem. I like stuff like this, where it's just sort of a sweep, you know. And a lot of people might look at this and go, that looks like it might be harder to pass over. Now, stuff like this, where it just swoops up and has a small bill, that passes over you. That's why I've got it on all my Spydercos. That passes over pants material really, really easy. It's not that big of a deal. You might have to just, you know, use 2 hands sometimes. In practice, though, even though that tip is a little bit sharp on both of these knives, it really doesn't create that much of a hot spot. You know, if you're going to cut with this knife for 15, 30 minutes at a time, well, your hands are, you know, it might wear into your hands a little bit. But if you're just going to make quick cuts, you know, here and there, like most of us do, then yeah, it's really not going to bother you. Oh yeah, also, there's a steel lock bar insert on this guy, given that it's a frame lock. Works really well. The knife is centered. In fact, both knives are centered. Show you guys right there. Both knives lock up absolutely solid. No blade play on that guy and no blade play on this guy. That's nice. That's impressive. That's what I expect from Bestech. I really appreciate that. And then lockup on this guy seems to be coming in at, well, where the lock bar insert engage is probably 40%. And then on this guy, liner lock is engaging. It's essentially the same place, about 40%. So anyway, stuff that I don't like about these knives. On the carbon fiber one, the liner lock, it can pinch your skin a little bit and it's kind of annoying. Not painful, just annoying. There is no double clutch. I don't like the T6 hardware, but you get that sometimes. I don't like the pokiness of the pocket clip, and I also don't like the little tooth that hangs down. But yeah, that's about it. So what are these guys running? I will leave, like I said, I'll leave links down in the description where you guys can pick these up, check them out for yourselves. These knives are running about $190 to $210, maybe $215, depending on the setup you get. That is right in line with what I expect, not only from Bestech, but from their competitors right now. We're looking at materials like, you know, like I said, either S35VN or M390. I'll go ahead and put that again in there in text just so everybody's clear. And then materials like titanium that has been milled, contoured, or in this case, carbon fiber that's been milled out and also contoured. This is what I expect. You know, these knives are not made in the United States. They are made in China, but Bestech, like many know, is known for putting out super quality products. And I've not been let down by Bestech so far. Everything that I've handled has been great. And so I've come to respect them very much. My favorite thing about these knives is the fact that there is nothing on the blade, or it doesn't say Bestech anywhere. It doesn't have serial numbers, it doesn't have model numbers, it doesn't have made in China, nothing. I love that. That's great. That will be reason enough alone for some people to pick these knives up. Things that might stop you from carrying these knives, if the blade length's a little bit long, maybe if you don't like the aesthetic, right? Or if you don't like forward choils. Other than that, though, I mean, these are fantastic EDC knives that'll work in a variety of different settings. So, yeah, I can go ahead and recommend these knives. Both of them will be appearing in my most recommended knives playlist, so you guys can check that out if you'd like to. I think that's going to be pretty much it for the review today, guys. These were fun to handle and experience, and I really appreciate Bestech sending them to our pass run group. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this Metal Complex logo right here and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.